Hiya. It's been quite a while since I've done a video. Been really busy, but I thought for this video, I would talk about the notion of possession and acquisition, because a large part of the human condition is ownership of something, to own something. We own a body, we own materials. We might own a house, we might own a car, we have clothes, we might have children. Whatever it might be, we feel like we own these things, or that they are part of us. And this is all to do with attaching one's sense of identity to something else, something other than you. But if you look at the notion of possession, the notion of acquisition, in its deepest sense, there are only three ways that I can think of where that might give rise to acquisition or ownership, possession. And those three ways are: if you happen to have discovered something, if you have been given something by gift, or if you have acquired something by way of a transaction for money or money's worth. Let's look at the first one, discovery. So you might have come upon something by chance. Let's say a material item. You found it on the floor outside, and if you're following this very old legal doctrine, possession's 9/10 of the law. In other words, if no one else claims it, it's yours. Well, is it yours? So let's say you find, let's make it something rather simple. You find a really nice looking rock on the floor, and it looks like it's got some crystals inside, and it looks to be sort of semi-precious if it was going to be valued. You found it lying on the ground. You suspect someone might have been holding it, or using it, or having it under their control in some way before you found it. But you see that there's no one around, then you take it home. And then you have it for years, and then you somehow believe that it's yours, it belongs to you. And so much so that if someone comes into your own environment, sees that rock, and then starts to take it themselves, you would call them a thief. Well, that rock would have taken millions of years to form. Now, there may have been millions of people, prior owners, or millions of people who have claimed ownership of that rock before you. But can any of them have owned it, really? I mean, that rock, having been formed for millions of years, or maybe slightly less than millions, but it's probably millions. Can any of them really own it? I don't think the answer is yes to that. Something to think about. Let's move on to gifts. If someone gives you something, and then you lay claim to it, your claim is in ownership with that thing that's been given to you. Well, who had the right to give you it in the first place? Did they have ownership of that? And we then come back to the fundamental points raised in the first point, which is, what does it really mean to own something? If they found it, is it really theirs? How could it be theirs? How could anything really be yours to give? Besides, for instance, your time and energy. Give of yourself, sure. But to give something other than you, I don't think you can. I don't think you can give. So if you can't really give something other than yourself, then you can't really own anything. Because ownership is to own something other than yourself. So it's for yourself, for you to own something. But if you can't give something in a deeper sense, because you don't really have a true claim of ownership of it, you can't really own anything. And then I suppose the last thing then is a transactional acquisition. So because we deal with what's called money, and we put a value to money, and the way in which we acquire money is usually by way of some kind of transaction in the first place, like working. So if you work by doing some service or carry out some function, then a customer will pay you, or your boss will pay you as a result of a service you're providing for the boss. Everything has a transaction, so money is only passed to you by way of some kind of transaction in the first place. But that money, let's say it's a £5 note, £10 note, dollar bill, whatever you want to say, it's paper, or it's a pound coin, or whatever you want to call it. That thing, again, has likely had thousands, possibly millions of prior owners. So what did they really own? Any prior owners of that money in hard form, what did they own? The paper? Did they own that paper? Did they own the interest in that paper? Did they own the value of that paper? And by giving that paper to someone else, that would have been in exchange for something that they were purchasing from that person. So that you're talking about the nuances really of ownership. Do you really own the money that you claim to have? In one sense, the logical mind would go, yes, you do, because it's yours to lay claim over, and no one else can really obtain it unless you willingly give it over. I suppose you can be coerced or forced to, but usually it's a willingness to give over. But you come into the world with no money, and you leave with no money. That's quite distinct from how much money is earned during a person's lifetime and then bequeathed to those in one's will, because the money remains earthbound, you don't. So when you come into the world, you don't come in bringing money, and you don't leave with money. And the same can be said with any items. You don't enter the world with any items, and you don't leave with any items. The only thing you enter the world with are aspects of personality, trapped mind in the psyche from previous incarnations. If you believe in reincarnations, or one could say you don't bring anything material into the physical world. Now relate that to a candidate entering the lodge in the first degree. You are told to leave all money and metals outside the lodge and to bring nothing but oneself into it. Think about that. I think it's very, very profound as a message in Masonry, and it's well worth contemplating. Thank you for listening.